how do you talk to the VCs? How do you talk to them and explain to them your story? How do you do that?
Well, listen to what he said, because it was absolutely right on. The opportunity is huge. Everybody uses it. Everybody, and VCs say, not everybody. Give me one case. I can give you three. Give me one. Give me, I can give you this. Give me that. It's very, with VCs, I often say to people, think of VCs as the most simple-minded people in the world. And not because they are, in fact, they're the opposite, but it allows you to think about a way to translate yourself in a way that makes sense. You have to be very specific, very targeted, very focused, very clean, very understand your mission. They don't want to hear everybody could use it. They want to hear, here's a business model that can use it, here's a customer that can use it, here's how they can pump it out, here's how it could be a good business, here's how it could be an amazing business, and here's how we can protect ourselves from being a bad business. And that gives them what they're looking for. But you want to really understand it. You need to know your market when you're talking to a VC, when you're talking to an investor. You need to understand it, be able to encapsulate it, and you need to talk in terms that they get. Again, listen to how he said, our business model, well, we are, we're at some level we're going to follow the Dropbox model. It's real simple. Dropbox has been successful. Here's how they've done it. We're doing this in the Dropbox model. It's an easy way for them to say, okay, I understand that. I can translate that. What's interesting, people don't often, I always found this fascinating about VCs or any investment group, is that you'll give them your financials and then they'll still run their own financials. They'll recreate your books in order, and why they do it is because they want to understand. They want to understand all of the innards of your business so they can understand what they're investing in and they can understand the triggers in the models. So being simple and clean about your model is critical. Understanding what does it cost to acquire a customer, what's the lifetime value of the customer, what's the length of time that you might hold on to that customer, how does that customer work? That's where the key becomes. But this was spot on in terms of so many things that we learned, I think, coming out of this segment that, there's just a ton here. I just hope people get as much out of it as I did. Because, learn from it, right? You understand what your experience tells you. Yeah. Don't hide from it, learn from it. Keep your story simple. Make sure you can explain.
Go back to that, because the story, I keep saying we hear the story. Keep the story simple, but it's keep the model, the idea of the story of the model.
Exactly.
So people can understand. Because people might have the idea, but you're not selling the idea. You're selling the model.
And the model has to be clearly understood, clearly articulated. It's sort of everyone always talked about the elevator pitch, the 30-second pitch. The elevator is moving a lot faster now. You don't have 30 seconds to tell your story. And the model's got to be clean. It's got to be something I understand. Here's the beauty of it. If you had looked at the business and you then thought, well, let's ask Brian what's the monetization strategy, you would have thought, oh, he's not going to have an answer to that. His answer will be, I'll figure it out in 3 years. He knew right away. I've got 4 models. Here's the easiest. Here's the next, here's the next, here's the next. So at some level, if you're thinking about talking to a VC, here's business model using trigger 1, here's business model using 1 and 2, here's 1, 2, and 3, and if we get to 4, then God help us, we're all going to be happy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it's a beautiful story though, because here's how I can protect it. It's the one thing that, one of a private equity guy once told me, an investment banker, said go into it with 3 financial plans. The plan you want to show, and then be prepared for 2 questions. What happens if the business falls apart? How do you protect yourself? And be able to show and talk to that plan. And then also, what happens if we hit a grand slam? What happens if this thing goes through the roof? What happens with a lot of people is they always talk about the go through the roof, and that's when you get lost. That's when you get them saying, I want to understand, tell me about one, tell me about what works. So much to learn here, so much to know. It was fascinating.
And not enough time.
Definitely never enough time.
Never enough time. Excellent stuff.